Hello, I am Professor Kino and welcome to my Office of Cinematic Antiquity. Today we will be embracing the beginning of a new year by looking at the films releasing over these next 12 months and picking my top 10 most anticipated films of 2019. To kick things off, I have one honorable mention, a film that I'm half excited about and half nervous about, and that is M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. The reason for this inclusion is that I loved Split, like a lot. I thought James McAvoy was brilliant in it, and I have loved everything that Anya Taylor-Joy has done so far. However, Glass is not only a continuation of that film, but also of Unbreakable, and I find Unbreakable merely fine. I think Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson are great in it, but I think the film tries to be smarter than it actually ends up being, a common problem with a lot of Shyamalan films and their signature twists. So while I'm ready to see how this trilogy will end, I am also uncertain whether Shyamalan will be able to conclude it satisfactorily. However, this brings me to my number 10 most anticipated film of 2019, Pet Sematary. It's not often that a film that wasn't really on my radar at all comes out with a trailer that is so good that I end up watching it repeatedly. But the trailer for this Pet Sematary remake did just that. It looks wonderfully creepy, and while if this Stephen King adaptation was slated to come out even half a decade ago, I don't think I would have thought much about it. Let's be honest, King adaptations don't have a great history. The fact that this film is coming out so soon after the excellent adaptations of It, 1922, and Gerald's Game, I am fully on board for another potentially excellent Stephen King horror film. Next up, my number 9 most anticipated film, Star Wars Episode 9. Well, I know that there was quite the war going on between the fans that thought Episode 8 The Last Jedi was good, and the fans that thought it was bad. I am not deterred in admitting my excitement for the final installment of this new trilogy. I am also able to admit that yes, I did like The Last Jedi. I didn't love it, I do have some issues with it, but I still liked it a heck of a lot. I like the new characters, I like the new plot threads, and I am excited to see where it'll all end up. And now, my number 8 most anticipated film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love Tarantino films. In my honest opinion, I think that Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction are two of the best films made in the last half-century. And even when Tarantino comes out with a film that is lesser Tarantino, such as Death Proof or The Hateful Eight, there is still plenty of enjoyment to be had. So even though I'm not really into the premise of his latest film, that of Hollywood during the Manson murders, I have faith that Tarantino will make Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, at the very least, a unique and worthwhile ride. Coming in at my number 7 most anticipated film, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. The first How to Train Your Dragon was a wonderful surprise to me. Hiccup, Toothless, and all the other characters were lovable and a pleasure to get to know. And then the second film came out a few years later, and it was surprisingly again, also really good. It not only continued what we loved in the first film, but added to and expanded it in a wonderful fashion. And since this upcoming third installment has the same director and creative team behind it, I am fully confident that it will conclude this trilogy spectacularly. For my number 6 most anticipated film, we have another animated feature, The Lego Movie 2. The first Lego Movie was also a great surprise. With a film titled merely The Lego Movie, it seems like it would probably end up being just a huge product placement. And while to an extent that is the case, it is also so much more. And then we had 2 spin-offs, the Lego Batman movie and the Lego Ninjago movie, and they were just as fun, the former more so than the latter, but still. All 3 are smart, heartfelt, funny, and wondrous family-friendly adventures, so of course I'm excited for this next installment in the franchise. Then for my number 5 most anticipated film, It Chapter 2. So yes, another Stephen King adaptation is gracing this list, but for good reason. The first film was so good, probably one of the most fun horror films to have come out in recent years. I loved it. And with the second chapter's cast starring the likes of Bill Hader, Jessica Chastain, and James McAvoy, I don't see how it could go wrong. I am 100% on board. Coming in at a rather surprising number 4 is Alita Battle Angel. Now, I'm not really familiar with the manga that this is based off of, but I am very familiar with the creative team behind the film. Not only did its director Robert Rodriguez create one of my all-time favorite films, the stylish Sin City, but it's produced and written by James Cameron, who is well known for making crowd pleasers. So at the very least, this film will be a stylish-looking crowd pleaser, and that's all I'm hoping it will be. I know its initial release date got a little caught up in the whole Fox-Disney deal, but I am happy it's finally seeing the light of day, and I am really pumped to be able to see it. Now, kicking off my top 3 most anticipated films of 2019 is John Wick Parabellum. I love the John Wick series. The first film was a great stylized revenge flick with an intriguing world encapsulating it and stupendous action sequences sprinkled throughout it. The second film was an amazing surprise in just how good it was. I actually think it is better than the first film, which is an achievement in and of itself because it expanded the world brilliantly, upped the amazing action sequences from a 10 to an 11, and set up what I can only imagine is an equally great third installment. And boy am I ready for it. Next, for my number 2 most anticipated film, Avengers Endgame. The MCU films have been a solid entertainment staple for more than 10 years now, and while some have been better than others, they have all been at least in some way entertaining. And then when last year's Avengers Infinity War came out with a bang and ended with an even bigger bang, Avengers Endgame was destined to become a must-see for every single person who saw Infinity War and every single person who wants to see how the first 10 years of the MCU will conclude. And I am definitely one of those people. And finally, my number 1 most anticipated film of 2019, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Godzilla has been a part of my entire life. My brother and I watched so many of the English dub films when we were younger that when I think about my childhood, I think less about Disney films and more about Godzilla films. Heck, I even wrote my senior thesis paper on Godzilla. I am even one of those people who adores the 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla film. So it was a given that I would be anticipating the follow-up to that film no matter how it looked. But after Michael Dougherty, the director of Krampus and Trick or Treat, 2 other films that I adore, signed on as director for this film, and after the first trailer dropped and then the second one dropped, and each was better than the last, but both phenomenal, this film quickly jumped to my most anticipated film of 2019. Thanks for watching, I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Feel free to leave a list of your top 10 most anticipated films of 2019 in the comments section down below. I am Professor Kino, and I look forward to our next discussion.